Hello everyone, nubkeks here. Welcome back to Nub Raids. We have the information on who is coming up in this Summon Rush event, the 10x champions here for the Timit Fusion. This is the third video out today. I did a full review of all the new champions and also broke down my Timit Fusion plan. I think, of course, how good you think this 10x event is could have a pretty big impact on whether or not you're going for the Timit Fusion. It looks like a fairly sacred shard intensive fusion, but maybe the void shards for this Summon Rush might be good too. It's something to consider. So let's dive in. I was initially planning on bringing out a video on Crixia, the new mythic. I have it recorded. That was going to be the third video today. I think bringing it out as the fourth video would be maybe too crazy. So that might come out. I think I've already got stuff in the pipeline for tomorrow, so maybe that might be pushed all the way back to Saturday. I'm not sure. Let me know. What do you think? Would you guys watch 4 videos? I think it's probably too much. But yeah, make sure you do check out the other videos that came out today in case you've missed them. YouTube often doesn't like when you publish lots of videos at once. All right, let's go. Let's look at this 10x event. What is coming up? Well, interesting stuff. The theme of this is revivers. So from ancients, sacreds, and primal shards, first up we've got Tagore, who I think is actually a great champion. I don't actually have him. He comes in, he has a full team revive at 30% HP and a big 20% of his max HP shield. He reduces damage that those allies receive by 10%, which is pretty nice. Then he's got a short cooldown AOE attack that puts increased speed on everyone and heals everyone by 15% of this champion's max HP. His A1 puts out increased defense. He's actually pretty solid HP in all battles. So like this revive is a bit better than it sounds, right? Because it brings them back effectively, no turn meter, but they're actually fairly tanky between the HP, the shield, and then his passive. It does make them a bit tankier than you expect. And he's got such a short cooldown on this. And the healing on this is actually, again, a bit better than you expect. Because you're going to build him with very high HP. So he gets a big shield and a big heal on everybody. And he actually ends up being super tanky. Yeah, speed boosting your team, reviving. I think he's a great champ, so he's pretty awesome. Next up, we've got Gorgrab, who's also really good. Mini Arbiter in some ways, 23% speed aura. Then he's got turn meter filled with increased attack. Now, he's not the best speed booster. Arbiter is much better. Arbiter is 110 base speed. He only has 97. His base speed sucks, which means he's not going to get as much of a benefit from an aura. He's going to be a few speed lower than other champions would be. That's not the biggest turn meter fill. He is still good. He's got an AoE revive, 25% HP, and then heals 25%. So they come back effectively at 50%-ish. Health can be a little bit more with masteries. And he can heal even with dead allies. He can strip buffs off in his A1. Gorgrab, he's really, really good for Undead Horde Faction Wars, which is a pretty difficult faction crypt. Still no decreased defense AoE in the epics or the rares. So you're quite slow often doing this. It's a bit of a war of attrition. You've got Valkyries and stuff. It's quite annoying. Having Gorgrab in to keep you strong is good. And I do think that early game, he's really good in Arena, but he does fall off, obviously. Yeah, he does fall off. But he's still good. And then we have, not this faction. Ugo is in there, who's a bit weird squeezing into this AoE reviver thing. She does technically have an AoE revive, which is really strong, but it only works if everyone is dead, which is very unlikely. And she does have this final spite move as well, where she does get block damage for 1 turn whenever her last living ally is killed. I think this can be a thing like early game, probably, in Arena, but it's not going to be too much of a thing as you go much further. Like certainly on auto, she's likely to open the Maelstrom rack and then just use the heal on auto after that. As we know for Hydra as well, this is just a great move. You can leave this on just her default AI. She doesn't do it if there's no debuffs to remove and everyone's full HP. She only does it kind of when it's needed. It's one of the better AI programmings in the game, funnily enough, though the revive is hard to get. But yeah, Ugo, she's top tier for Hydra. She's super, super good. Super accessible. Obviously, you've got Sun Wukong now giving everyone an accessible block buffs. There's this new undead guy, new undead void epic with block buffs. So there are more options coming in. There's the high elf epic that can do it now. But Ugo still stands tall, bringing decreased defense, block buffs, healing, and a bit of cleansing, and leech. She's so good for Hydra. So a staple, really. If you don't have Ugo, you know, if you're like an early mid game player and you're going for this fusion, and you get an Ugo, like you're super happy. Ugo would be my most wanted out of those 3 champions. Then I'd actually probably put Tagore second and Gorgrab third. But I think they're all good, solid epics that are very, very helpful in progression, which is what you want out of this. The Void epic, let's touch on that, is also very good. It's Ursula the Mourner, who's great. She showed up, for example, in the Vildrax Hydra showcase I did yesterday, being, again, an AoE reviver who brings increase attack and AoE decrease attack. Great for Hydra. She also has a really good speed aura for Doom Tower, so she's very helpful for progressing through Doom Tower. She's amazing for Bannerlord's Faction War. Again, I think early mid-game, a decent arena champion. Her base defense is very low. That's sort of her big weakness, and if you're building her for arena, you'd probably be putting her in Stone Skin. It's a bit awkward, whereas for Hydra and most other areas you want regen, because most revivers, in fact, all of the other ones we've seen so far, do have healing in their toolkit. Ursula does not. So regen gear tends to be very important to actually keep her alive. But this is an amazing revive, like 5-turn cooldown, all dead allies, 75% HP, 50% turn meter, increased defense and strengthen for 3 turns. That goes on everyone, by the way. This move is insane. It's like one of the best, if not the best, AoE revive in the game. It's nuts. She does do it though if people aren't dead. So if no one's dead, she'll still do it for the increased defense strengthen, which is still valuable. But you know, it could cost you a little bit on auto in some of these areas potentially. But she's a great champion. So that's a strong epic in the 10x from Voids, which again is nice to see. Good progression epic in a Fusion 10x event. Now for the legendaries, the big boys. AoE revivers, baby. Let's go. So first up, we've got Pythion coming in, a previous fusion, but a really strong fusion. Big cleanse with lots of healing and block debuffs. Big AoE revive with strengthen. Good healing on his A1 and a passive reduces damage. Resistant all battles aura as well. Pythion, he's just a tank. This is a great champion. He's a staple of arena. And yeah, just anywhere where you need to be tanky and survive, he is the man. So Pythion, he's a great, great champion. The next one is another fusion with an AoE revive. It's Mighty Uko. Brings in speed in all battles aura. It's a little bit better than a lot of legendaries. But again, AoE revive with block damage and increased speed. Does use this if there's nobody dead. And then the AoE that can strip buffs and put block buffs and decrease accuracy, decrease attack A1 and stealing buffs with the passive. Again, Uko is sort of a staple of arena and is a very strong Hydra champ as well. I'd say they're the 2 areas kind of for Uko specifically. Yeah, Uko's a brilliant champion. And I'd say, you know, I wouldn't probably use 2 Pythions. I think you could use 2 Ukos. You could have one more built for Hydra with, you know, War Master and maybe a Provoke set or something like that, or a Cursed set maybe. And then you could have one built specifically for Arena, you know, probably more so in a stun set with more accuracy and speed. And, you know, you could have them with different sort of builds, and that could be kind of fun. So not a terrible champion to get a dupe of, to be honest, and a great champion to have in general. Then we've got actually 2 Voids in the 10x for legendaries. The first one, and they're both AoE revivers. I'd say a little bit on the weaker side, but still probably worth having, I'd say. The first up is Raka Viletide, 19% speed. She has an AoE revive, half HP turn meter with block debuffs. Does the block debuffs if there's no dead allies. It's a 4-turn cooldown, which is nice. I mean, block debuffs on a 4-turn cooldown is a pretty bad move. That's a bit of a problem with this one. I wish there was something extra in this move to make it more worthwhile, you know? That would be cool. That would be really cool, but sadly, no. But yeah, so this move is a bit questionable. This move is really good, though. It's a full cleanse on a 3-turn when booked with increased attack and a shield equal to 25% of her max HP. That's a great move. That's really solid. Her A1 puts out healing, which is nice. Her passive puts out continuous heals and also starts doing some turn meter boosting, which is also kind of nice. So yeah, Raka, she's on the lower end, right, of these legendary revivers, I would say. You don't see her too much, especially because she's a Void Lego. I don't know. She's obviously nowhere near as good as like Sifi or Duchess and those. They're just much better. But I think she's decent. She's certainly usable. So yeah, that's the reviews. Reviews are pretty good for her. I think you could definitely use her. Like, she could be a thing in like live gold arena, you know, if you're more limited on the revivers there, because it's, you know, more exclusive. She's not bad for Hydra, bringing in an increased attack and the backup of revive, lots of healing. So Raka's okay. She's okay. Definitely not the strongest 10x Void, though, that we've seen. We've seen a lot of strong, like we had 10x Sifi last weekend, 10x Sifi with a 2x Voids. Way better, right? Way, way better. And then finally, it's the new guy who is an Ogren. Yeah, Ogren. Bellatar Mage Slayer. This guy is also in the 10x. So he is the brand new Void Legendary with AoE Revive. So again, AoE Revive 4 turn, half HP turn meter, and then a shield equal to 20% of his max HP. And he's got good base HP. So that's, again, it's a decent revive. It's not crazy. Like, you know, I think Ursula the Mourner's revive is straight up better, right? But it's okay. Then he has an AoE attack with increased attack defense and a big heal. His A1 has a 50% chance when booked to decrease the cooldown of a random skill of the ally with the highest turn meter by 1 turn. So it's quite random. 33% HP in all battles aura. Then he does have an interesting passive. Books to a 70% chance to decrease all of an ally skill cooldowns by 1 turn whenever they're revived. So Plarium, I think people were pretty underwhelmed by him when we first saw. Plarium have tried to clarify a few things. So they have said that this works. It's not just if he revives them, if anyone revives them, right? So in, you know, a double reviver composition in Arena, for instance, or potentially in any new content in the future, if double revives are ever a thing, whenever anyone is revived, they get a 70% chance to decrease their cooldown. If he AoE revive, like if multiple people get revived at the same time, they will all get this applied to them. There's no cooldown. So that is cool. It's only 1 turn, but it is off all their cooldowns. I don't know. It's hard to judge how strong this is. I was a bit underwhelmed by him when I first saw him. I will say he's growing on me a little bit. I think the potential, thinking about like some of that and like longer, tankier battles, he could be quite strong. You know, like he is going to put out a big shield. It is probably going to be quite a substantial heal. I don't know. What do we think of Bellatar? I guess the weakness is he doesn't stand out as being super useful sort of anywhere. Like, where are you going to die in the game? Maybe some Doom Tower bosses, but honestly, at the moment, they're not that hard until they add a new level of Doom Tower difficulty with all of the power creep in the game. Doom Tower is not a crazy challenge, right? Like, I was chatting to Erebad there. We did a video recently. He beat all of Doom Tower hard on every rotation within 8 months of starting the game on a new account. Free to play. So Doom Tower's not that hard, I don't think. Hydra, but he's not, I don't think he's good for Hydra. Doesn't have enough. Yeah, doesn't have enough utility for Hydra. Arena. Maybe he's decent for Arena in double revive compositions. I'll have to test it. I'm curious to test him out. Maybe he's going to be good. It's one that definitely needs a play test, but he is in the 10x this weekend. So what do you guys think? Are you going to go for this? What would be your limit for the Summon Rush points for Timit? Do you even care about Timit? What do you think about this 10x event? If I was not going for Timit, I generally wouldn't really recommend going for the 10x event. But I think if you are going for it, I do like the epics. I think there's great progression epics in here. And actually, I think all of the legendaries actually are all super strong on progression. Like, I'm talking quite end game focused here, going, well, Raka and Bellatar may not be top tier, like end game, but a lot of players aren't even there, right? If you pull one of those champions, if you're 6 months, 2 years, maybe even into the game, it could be absolutely game changing. For me, I'm trying to stay above 120 voids right now, so I might pull 8 voids, you know, because I wouldn't mind getting Raka or Bellatar, to be honest. And then maybe fill in with Sacreds is sort of my thought. But I don't know. That's a tough one. Let me know, though. What do you think? Thank you for watching. Hopefully 3 videos today. I appreciate the support. We're going to have lots of videos over the next few days, actually, apparently. There's lots to talk about and videos to do. So, yeah, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. I will catch you all very soon. Goodbye.